You ever wake up to find your own land swarming with strangers, like you accidentally bought tickets to the world's worst amusement park? That's how my day started. 20 charter buses barreling through my open gate, right onto my private property, engines roaring, heat shimmering, and out come 400 sunburned tourists in matching t-shirts, squinting through their cameras at my front porch like I'm part of the show. And there she is, Darlene, queen bee of the neighborhood HOA, standing there with her megaphone, explaining to everyone that this is a legal heritage tour, as if that magic word gives her the right to auction off my grandfather's land. She's pocketed 68 grand off my property, and here I am, drinking lukewarm coffee, wondering what happens when people like Darlene meet people like me. See, before Darlene came along, life was simple. My name's Hollis Brennan, 52 years old, gray in my beard, Army Corps engineer for 25 years before I came back home. My grandfather, Dutch Brennan, bought this patch of Montana in '47 with money he saved getting shot at from Normandy to the Rhine. Came back from the war, bought rocky land nobody wanted, built a house with his own hands. Not rich, but legacy, that's what he was after. The land's got hot springs nestled in a pine valley, trails Dutch carved himself, wildlife corridors where elk pass undisturbed. He always said, "Keep it wild, Hollis. Don't let 'em pave paradise." So I moved back, fixed up the old house, ran a little timber operation, just enough to stay busy. 12 cords a year, nothing that scars the land. Days spent splitting wood, reading at sunset, 2 daughters grown and gone, a divorce behind me but not a bitter one. The land was finally home. And then the bulldozers came. Pinnacle Ridge Estates, a luxury development next door. 85 lots, houses big as barns, stone facades, 4-car garages, visual harmony standards written into a 47-page covenant. I read it once and nearly choked on my coffee. Real rules about grass height and mailbox fonts. And at the center of it all, Darlene Voss, 58, Connecticut real estate shark with a helmet of blonde hair and a pastel blazer for every day of the week. She got herself elected HOA president, unopposed naturally. Promised to protect property values. What she delivered was more like a reign of terror. Fines for grass an inch too long, dogs barking after 9, mailbox too whimsical. Ticket. Residents jumped when she snapped her fingers. It wasn't long before she turned her sights on me. Spring 2021, she corners me in the Safeway, makes small talk about my split-rail fence, built by Dutch in '47, before letting me know, with that shark grin, that it clashes with our aesthetic. Wants me to upgrade to black aluminum. We'll contribute $2,000, she offers, like that's a bribe worth selling my soul for. I tell her, politely, that I'm not in her HOA. Her smile frosts over. "You'll regret that attitude," she says, and it wasn't a threat so much as a promise. A week later, the county inspector shows up. Anonymous complaints, illegal structures, environmental violations, unpermitted additions. I walk him around, show him every yellowed permit, originals from the '40s in Dutch's fireproof safe. Jerry sighs, says someone's wasting his time, but he has to file the paperwork anyway. As he drives off, I spot Darlene's white Escalade parked down the road, binoculars on the dashboard, watching. $3,000 in legal fees later, I get it, she's testing me. 2 Pinnacle Ridge folks, Garrett and Simone Ortiz, find me at the hardware store, voices low. Darlene did this to the last guy. 47 complaints in 18 months. He sold at a loss. She wanted the land for HOA green space. I looked them in the eye. I'm not the guy before me. And I meant it. Darlene ups her game. Shows up at the town council meeting, all smiles and PowerPoints, pitching Glacier View Highway as a scenic byway. Her slideshow's got a photo op marked right at my property line. Driving home, I see a tour bus idling near my fence, tourists hanging out the windows, snapping pictures. That evening I stand by Dutch's grave, feel the wind through the pines, his dying words echo, "Don't let them pave paradise." I tell him out loud, "You didn't take orders from Nazis. I'm not taking them from a woman whose license plate can't even spell." Somewhere an elk bugles across the valley, wild and free. Then comes the big play. Darlene files a petition with the county, official letterhead and all, claiming there's a historic easement on my land. She's got affidavits from 3 Pinnacle Ridge folks, who all moved here in 2020, swearing up and down that families have hiked my trail to the springs since the '40s. She even submits a doctored letter, supposedly from Dutch, giving permission. But I know that letter. Her version's been edited, no date, no limit, just Dutch's signature. The Glacier Valley Gazette runs it front page. Developer blocks historic trail. They quote Darlene like she's Mother Teresa. My daughter Ramsey, sharpest environmental lawyer in Missoula, comes up that weekend. She spreads Darlene's petition out on my kitchen table and starts laughing. Dad, this photo's not even your land. That rock formation? Pinnacle Ridge Common Area. She finds Dutch's real letter. One-time permission for Troop 47, July 82. Access is a privilege, not a right. We hire a surveyor, Cal, a meticulous guy. 3 weeks later, his report is 12 pages long, boils down to Darlene's full of it. The public trail is 300 feet east, entirely on HOA land. We file our response, 47 pages, original letter, survey, affidavits from a dozen families. November hearing, courthouse cold enough to see your breath. Darlene's got a lawyer in a $3,000 suit. Commissioners review the paperwork, 20 minutes, dead silence. Then petition denied. No credible evidence. Fraud warning issued. Old Frank Tillman, one of the commissioners, looks right at Darlene when he says the word fraud. It hangs in the air. Outside, Darlene corners me by my truck, voice shaking. You think you've won? I have resources you can't imagine. Family money, lawyers. I keep loading files. And I have something you'll never have. Roots. People here know my family. They don't know you. She calls me hillbilly, spits the word. When I'm done, you'll beg to sell. I climb in my truck. She just stands there, fists clenched. That night, I read Dutch's journal. This land is a trust, not a commodity. The day I let strangers think they own it, I've failed. I remember something I once read. Let someone use your land for 20 years, and they can claim it, adverse possession. Darlene's been running tours for 18 months. I've got time, but I'm not waiting. Word spreads. Dale at the coffee shop, Linda at the bakery, they're glad she got shut down. The Pinnacle Ridge folks are still quiet, scared. But I start seeing the tour buses more often. And it gets worse. One morning, I catch a guide lifting my barbed wire so 30 tourists can duck through. This is the authentic experience, she chirps, parroting Darlene's fake story about community tradition. They trample wildflowers, scatter elk, take selfies by the springs. I start digging. County business records. Turns out Majestic Montana Tours is a Delaware shell company, 30% owned by none other than Darlene Voss. Math is ugly, $60 a head, 40 people per bus, 3 runs a week. She's making $1,000 a week off my land, headed for $68,000 a year. She's not just trespassing, she's farming me. I call Ramsey. She owns the tour company. 30%. Ramsey's quiet. That's commercial exploitation. You could sue. I post no trespassing signs every 50 feet, put up trail cameras, record every incident. Sheriff Chuck tells me, solid evidence, Hollis, but I can't babysit your fence. I just need it on record. Then Darlene tries to get the county to declare a scenic byway, with a mandatory viewpoint right where my driveway meets the highway, so her buses could stop there legally. Her proposal is slick, state tourism, federal recognition, economic future. But in the fine print, public access required. I pulled Dutch's deed from the safe, read it slow. There it is, old language nobody remembers. Landowners sometimes own the approach strip, 40 feet of what looks like public road but isn't. Ramsey checks with a property law professor. Sure enough, we own it. Cal the surveyor confirms. I file notice of intent to control the strip. Darlene finds out in 48 hours. Shows up, hand shaking with my filing. You can't block a highway. Not blocking the highway. Just my approach strip. I'll sue you into the ground. My lawyer's cheaper, she's my daughter. The county moves the scenic viewpoint 2 miles east. But Darlene's tours keep running. She's got bills to pay. Ramsey digs deeper. Tour company owes $340,000, 90 days behind. HOA's in debt too, bonds due, short on cash. Darlene's in deep. She's been using tour profits to keep everything afloat. June approaches, her big payday. Corporate retreat, 20 buses, for 100 people, $72,000 gross. And Darlene's already spent the deposit. Ramsey and I sit at my kitchen table, surrounded by paperwork, and we both know, this is it. If those buses can't deliver what they promised, she's sunk. It's not about revenge, I say, but we both know it is, at least a little. So I start building. Army Corps taught me how to design a choke point. I plan the gate, steel, solar-powered motor, timed for a perfect close. Cameras everywhere. Tested and retested. Sheriff Chuck is in the loop. Garrett, the HOA guy, ready to act. I wait. June 18th. The convoy rolls in. 20 buses through my gate, Darlene up front, clipboard and headset, thinking she's won. Tourists spill out, stretching, sweating, snapping selfies. I count every last one. Then with a tap of my phone, the gate swings shut. 8 seconds. Steel slams home. Locked. It takes 10 seconds before anyone notices. Then the panic. Darlene's running across the gravel, makeup streaking, screaming. I sit on the porch, coffee in hand, watching. Pick up the PA. Good morning. You are on private property. The tour operator had no permission to bring you here. You may exit through the pedestrian gate. The buses stay until I'm satisfied. Chaos. Some folks think it's a prank. Others are furious. Bus drivers try to negotiate. I'm polite. People can leave on foot. The buses aren't going anywhere. News vans show up. Reporter asks for a statement. I'm protecting my property from commercial exploitation. Cameras catch every moment. Then the twist. Marcus Lyle, VP of Operations for the corporate group, confronts Darlene. You guaranteed exclusive access. You owe us $108,000. Darlene crumbles, literally drops to the dirt. Can't pay, can't deliver. Her phone rings off the hook, she ignores it. Noon hits. 94 degrees. The tourists are wilting, bus drivers desperate for water. I hold the line. 4 hours in the heat, enough to ruin Synergy's event, destroy Darlene's reputation, cost her everything. That's justice, poetic and legal. At 1 p.m., I open the gate. Buses roar out in a tangle of dust and exhaust, reporters catching every second. Sheriff Chuck tips his hat, says, "Let her sue." Darlene's business collapses. Bankruptcy by June 22nd, personal bankruptcy by July. Her Escalade repossessed, house underwater, moves back to Connecticut with nothing but a U-Haul. The HOA elects Garrett as president. All Darlene's petty fines rescinded, 34 grand returned to residents. Financial audit uncovers 78,000 quietly shifted to Darlene's LLC. Embezzlement likely, but folks let it go. Just want her gone. I donate 40 acres to the county, the hot springs. Now it's a wildlife sanctuary, no commercial tours, foot traffic only, volunteers maintaining the trails. The Dutch Brennan Wildlife Corridor. Scholarship in Dutch's name for local kids. My daughters move back, bring my grandkids. We teach them to read tracts, respect the land. And every now and then, someone finds me at the coffee shop, another farmer being pushed by some HOA, threatened with eminent domain, bullied by people who confuse power with decency. I tell them, check your deed, document everything, call my daughter. Because the truth is, justice sometimes comes down to patience, a little bit of stubbornness, and reading the damn paperwork. So was it worth it? Yeah, it was. For hours, 400 people, 20 buses, and one locked gate. Sometimes that's all it takes to draw the line. And here's the part that sticks with me. Darlene spent 2 years thinking titles and bylaws made her untouchable. But all it took was an old line in a deed from 1947 to bring the whole thing down. Makes you wonder, how much damage do people like her get away with just because nobody pushes back? Most folks just give in, pay the fines, sell and move on. But you don't have to. Patience. Perseverance. And yeah, reading the fine print. Now there's a preserve where the buses used to trespass, a scholarship for local kids, and Darlene's back in Connecticut, alone. That's karma, that's justice, and that's enough for me. But let me ask you this. Where's the line between defending what's yours and becoming what you hate? What would you have done if you were in my boots? Drop your stories, your battles, your HOA nightmares down below. Let's hear about your run-ins with power and what you did, or wish you'd done about it. And if you know someone fighting the good fight, send this their way. Sometimes all it takes is seeing someone else stand their ground to remember you can too. Thanks for listening.